The story of the Chumash Indians is one of great resilience. Hundreds of years ago, Chumash tribes utilized resources from both land and sea along a 200-mile stretch of California coastline. The establishment of Spanish missions in the late 1700s began a tumultuous period where the Chumash population dropped from 22,000 to 2,800. Decades of struggle followed. But the survivors never relented. 7 years after opening its first gaming facility, the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians started construction on a state-of-the-art casino and resort designed to elegantly blend with the surrounding Santa Ynez Valley land their ancestors once occupied. The success of the Chumash Casino Resort has put tribal members on the path to economic self-sufficiency for current and future generations. Today, you'll hear stories from a 9,000-year history, rich with culture, with giving, and with pride. Stories of great achievement, of past and present adversity, of the fight to revive a culture pushed to the brink of extinction. Stories of Chumash life. In this edition of Chumash Life, the Bureau of Indian Affairs officially placed the tribe's Camp 4 land into federal trust at the beginning of 2017. However, tribal opponents continue to raise objections that are refuted by the tribe's legal and government affairs specialist. The tribe's entire tribal government leadership team was re-elected, sending a strong message of the tribal membership's confidence in their leaders. The Chumash Foundation's partnership with MOXI, the Wolf Museum of Exploration and Innovation, is inspiring and beneficial to the entire community. But first, learn about the latest plans for the tribe's museum to be built across the street from the reservation.
The idea of building a museum for the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians began some 40 years ago. In the mid-1970s, a Tule Ap was built to showcase Chumash artifacts and replications. In 1977, the tribe applied for its Flores adobe to be registered as a historic place, with the intent of restoring it as a tribal museum. But just over a decade ago, the real momentum began. The tribe submitted an application to place its 6.9-acre parcel across from the reservation into federal trust for the purpose of building a museum on the land. While the tribe waited for the long federal trust process, Kathleen Conti was hired as Director of Museum Programs, Research, Resources. Also, a 14-member Museum Advisory Committee was appointed to begin working with Kathleen on the process of creating a tribal museum. The team began building a growing collection of artifacts and replications, and in 2014, when the Bureau of Indian Affairs officially placed the land into federal trust, the tribe hired renowned architects Jones & Jones to begin plans for the tribal museum.
They've waited a long time for this. The elders in the community really want to see this built and see it happen so that their grandkids and other people in the community can learn more about them.
The 15,000-square-foot museum is being designed with the surrounding community in mind.
Santa Ynez is a small community, and it's got wonderful little buildings in it, and so we tried to keep everything at small scale to fit that, so it works with that existing character.
Elements of Chumash culture will surround visitors as they progress through the museum. The journey begins at the Welcome Gallery. Its design influenced by the Tule Ap.
It's the welcome place. It's where the visitors come in and immediately they feel this is different than what we've ever seen before. And that's an important thing in their culture, is to welcome visitors. Secondly is the permanent exhibit gallery. That's where their message that spans thousands of years will be told. So that's an important place where people in this area can learn about their rich heritage. And another structure that's there is a classroom. So they can tell stories to kids. It has a shape that is reflective of the ancient Chumash structures.
Other spaces include a gathering house, amphitheater, and lush gardens that help visitors learn about the sustainability and balance that have played important roles in Chumash culture for generations. Getting to this point has taken significant research by both the Museum Advisory Committee and the John Paul Jones team. The committee visited museums and viewed collections across the U.S., including the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C.
Visiting all these different museums helped us create this unique vision and appreciate the cultural history that our people had.
Research is ongoing. It's been shared with us by the community and the museum people. They've been very open, and what it does for me and my team as architects is it allows us to do something that's much more relevant to their culture.
John Paul Jones and his team have begun construction drawings, which will take approximately 6 months to produce. Then, the team will continue to move forward to build this wonderful museum.
There's been a lot of hard work, many hours given to this museum, and I really appreciate our tribal leadership for bravely and boldly making this project a reality for our people and for our future generations.
The Chumash have been here almost 9,000 years. That's nearly 350 generations. And there are plenty of stories to share with all who will enter the new museum.
The Chumash are really a wonderful people. They've been in this valley for thousands of years. They worked with the land, they worked with nature, and there's some things we can learn from these ancient cultures that are very helpful.
The idea of walking through the front door with my grandchildren holding my hand, that's probably going to be the best experience, knowing that this museum was created for them and for other families here that don't know too much about what it is to be Chumash, and I hope that they're going to take away something that's going to give them identity.
It is an exciting time as the tribe moves forward with its plans to build a museum. The Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians tribal government is democracy in action, as this popular leadership team demonstrates.
The Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians held its election in March of this year for its tribal leadership team. The entire team was re-elected for another 2-year term. Tribal Chairman Kenneth Kahn said he was honored that his fellow tribal members have the confidence in him to lead the tribe. Since first being elected to the Business Committee in 2003 and as tribal chairman in 2016, he has worked diligently on behalf of his tribe and has kept his door open for tribal members to approach him with any questions and concerns. Also re-elected were all 4 members of the tribe's Business Committee: Raul Armenta, Maxine Littlejohn, Mike Lopez, and Gary Pace. Gary Pace was first elected in 2004. In his 14th year on the Business Committee, Gary said he is grateful that his fellow tribal members continued to trust his ability to make the right decisions on their behalf. Business Committee members Maxine Littlejohn and Mike Lopez were both elected to the Business Committee in 2015. Maxine, who serves as the Secretary-Treasurer, served on the Gaming Committee for several years and the Business Committee from 2000 to 2004. She said she was excited to be re-elected to the Business Committee and is looking forward to continuing to participate in the tribe's progress. Mike served on the Gaming Committee as chairman for several years. He said he enjoyed the transition to the Business Committee and finds it rewarding that he is able to focus on more projects that have a direct impact on tribal members. Raul Armenta, who serves as the vice chairman, is the newest member of the Business Committee, having been elected in a special election in 2016. He has been in tribal politics for most of his adult life and said he is both honored and pleased that his fellow tribal members continue to elect him into leadership positions. All members of this esteemed tribal leadership team find it particularly satisfying to be part of the Business Committee during an era when the tribe is positioned for continued success on its path to economic self-sufficiency. The tribe's chairman and Business Committee are responsible for establishing policies and overseeing the legal and business affairs of the tribe, while providing for the economic well-being of its members. Like most modern tribal governments today, the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians tribal government is organized democratically, with an elected leadership. The tribe elects its leaders every 2 years. In 1934, Congress passed the Indian Reorganization Act and attached a model constitution and bylaws which is still followed today. An elected Business Committee and chairman, recognized as such by the Secretary of the Interior, have authority to speak and act for the tribe as a whole, and to represent it in negotiations with federal, state, and local governments. Self-government is essential for tribal communities to continue to protect their unique cultures and identities. And in turn, tribal cultures and traditions provide the foundation upon which Indian communities are governed. Because Native American tribes are governments, they interact with other governments on a government-to-government basis. This government-to-government principle, which is grounded in the United States Constitution, has helped to shape the long history of relations between the federal government and tribal nations. Congratulations to the re-elected tribal government team at the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians.
The tribal chairman and members of the business committee look forward to leading their tribe to continued success. In a recurring segment featuring the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians Foundation, we take a look at the tribe's partnership with a museum for all ages in Santa Barbara.
MOXI, the Wolf Museum of Exploration plus Innovation, is a vibrant, one-of-a-kind experience focused on preparing children to be creative thinkers and problem solvers. It's no wonder that a project of this magnitude grabbed the attention and support of the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians, which pledged $150,000 toward the project.
The mission of MOXI is to ignite learning through interactive experiences in science and creativity, and MOXI accomplishes that mission through this amazing facility of more than 70 hands-on exhibits, as well as a full array of education programs for the community.
We are a museum for people of all ages. Of course, youth enjoy MOXI a lot and gain a lot from it, but we find parents engaged with our exhibits and floor programs alongside their children, and it's really a wonderful experience for the whole family.
MOXI was 25 years in the making, but about 8 years ago, the real momentum for the project began.
The museum launched a $25 million capital campaign in 2012, and over the last several years we've been hard at work trying to meet that goal. The location of this incredible space was a gift essentially from the city of Santa Barbara, and the groundbreaking was in 2014. So funding, the building, the staff, all of that culminated in an amazing grand opening on February 25th, 2017.
The planning phase for this museum lasted a long time, and all along we've been concerned with STEM education. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. But more importantly, we're really focused on hands-on, interactive, learner-driven experiences. It's really all about process skills, formulating and asking questions, making observations, making connections, experimenting, discovering through creative play, and applying a design thinking process in building and making and creating objects that you then use in the exhibits and test.
The creation of MOXI is exactly the type of effort that the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians Foundation loves to support. It's an attraction for local families and area schools and works with local youth-serving agencies to help serve the families that need it most.
The partnership with the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians was something that was really quite wonderful. They were one of the very first groups that had an opportunity to walk through the space as it was being constructed, and it was very exciting to talk to them and to share that understanding that they have about the importance of supporting children's causes and supporting education, and it really was just a natural fit and a very exciting time for them to, I think, get involved in a project that they knew was ultimately going to have a hugely profound impact for generations to come. We're excited to have their support and glad to consider them a partner.
The tribe's generous donation will help in the creation of the museum's upcoming boat building station. There, visitors will design and assemble boats to launch in the adjacent Whitewater Rapids exhibit.
The boat building station really speaks to the heart of not only some of the Chumash culture, but also very much this idea of engineering and design and building and then iterating on those designs. So what will eventually be here is an opportunity for people to build boats out of different types of materials and then test them and learn about properties such as density and how those boats can actually race down the channels of the water flow exhibit. So it'll be a very, very cool piece when it comes online, and we're excited to get that one done.
Approximately 15,000 preschool and elementary school students from Santa Barbara and neighboring counties are expected to visit annually, and all Santa Barbara County Title I schools will be eligible for discounted admission. Thanks to the tireless efforts of the MOXI staff and the support of the community, MOXI is positioned to help educate and entertain local youth for many years to come.
The tribe's donations are making a significant impact on the community. Through its foundation, the tribe has contributed more than $20 million to date. Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians Legal and Government Affairs Specialist Sam Cohen addresses the 3 key objections to the tribe's Camp 4 project.
The Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians purchased 1,390 acres of Santa Ynez ranch land known as Camp 4 with the primary goal of building homes on the land for tribal members and their families. At the beginning of this year, the Bureau of Indian Affairs approved the tribe's federal trust application and officially placed the Camp 4 land into federal trust. However, Santa Barbara County and local tribal opponents are fighting the BIA on its decision. Opponents raised 3 key objections to placing Camp 4 into federal trust: loss of property tax income for the county, a lack of local control over land use planning, and a potential strain on water resources. However, a deeper look shows that these objections carry little merit.
These lands are under what's called a Williamson Act conservation easement, which means the property taxes are kept lower because it's in agriculture. The actual property taxes assessed on the 5 parcels for Camp 4 before the fee to trust application was only $83,000 for all 1,400 acres. But the county would like to reassess the entire property at the highest possible rate in the valley and then assess all 143 houses as $10 million each. And using that math, the county believes they're owed hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's not reasonable under any scenario.
Years ago, the tribe submitted a draft cooperative agreement to the Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors, hoping to negotiate a payment in lieu of taxes for the Camp 4 property. The payment would more than make up for the loss of property tax and bring much assistance to county resources to the great benefit of its residents. However, for years the county refused to acknowledge the agreement or meet with the tribe to discuss this issue. Meetings have finally taken place, but to date, the county has still not accepted this offer. Land use planning for federal trust land must follow guidelines established by federal agencies and some state agencies, and adhere to specific federal and state laws and statutes. Santa Barbara County objects to its lack of control over the tribe's land use planning for Camp 4.
The county believes that it is the only successful and competent land use planner in the entire region. That can't possibly be 100% true, as there are cities who don't use the county for planning. And you could easily think of the tribe as one of those cities who has taken over its own land use planning for the reservation and Camp 4.
The plan for 143 one-acre homes compares favorably to the existing homes along the edge of the Camp 4 property.
Camp 4 sits next to an existing housing subdivision called Rancho Santa Ynez Estates. Rancho Santa Ynez Estates has 135 units on 1,000 acres. Camp 4 is 143 units on 1,400 acres. It is less dense than its neighboring ranchettes. The neighboring ranchettes all have septic systems, all of which are failing. The tribe has pledged to use design controls to make sure that the housing on Camp 4 is comparable or better, and I believe better than all the neighboring housing.
These homes for tribal members and their families will help create a meaningful opportunity for a tribal community revitalization effort that rebuilds the tribal culture, customs, and traditions. It would also be an integral part of accommodating current and future generations of Santa Ynez Chumash.
A careful reading of the environmental assessment done by the tribe will show the incredible effort the tribe made to make sure that Camp 4 was water neutral as part of this development. The tribe has used state-of-the-art recycling for all wastewater used on the property. The tribe has removed 40 acres of grapes to create a 40-acre-foot buffer of water use for the houses, and between those two factors and individual housing project conservation, there is no net increase in water for the entire project.
The Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians has been a long-standing leader in the green movement and has won numerous awards for its green strategies. The tribe has been recognized by the Environmental Protection Agency for its efforts, including efforts to save water. In March of this year, legislation was introduced in the House of Representatives to protect the tribe's Camp 4 land. House Resolution 1491 was introduced by Representative Doug LaMalfa to reaffirm the action of the Secretary of the Interior to take land into trust for the benefit of the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Mission Indians. The passage of H.R. 1491 would end years of unnecessary controversy over the property and secure the BIA's decision to make Camp 4 part of the reservation.
The tribe is confident that homes for tribal members and their families will be built on its Camp 4 land. Thank you for watching this summer 2017 edition of Chumash Life. See past segments at youtube.com/Chumash Life.